You know, my wife and I, rest her soul, but we gave up our son when we were kids. You know, I just can't believe I lost her too.
What happened the day you lost her?
Well, just doing my routine hike up the mountain. But so this strange ship is landed in front of me. Hear the door open, and you know, out comes this man, and he's just looking at me really deep like, and he goes, "My God, it's you. Could it really be you?" And I say to him, "Buddy, do you want to explain to me what the hell that is? Who are you? Where did you come from?" And he's going, "My God, I've spent my entire life trying to find you." He takes his helmet off, and he's just got these god-awful scars. He's looking at me like I'm a long-lost relative. He starts looking around. He says, "Oh my God, can't believe it. It's still here." He's like, "My God, it's still here. Old man was right." And I'm going, "Still here? What are you talking about? Who the hell are you?" He's going, "I knew you were all still here. I knew it had to be true. It had to be." And he's crying. And I'm just like, I'm just frozen at this point, you know. I mean, and he goes, "Look, listen to me." He's going, "You got to listen to me." He goes, "I'm from a world far, far away. We were taken from here to a dark world." He goes, "We were raised in a world that we know as Samsara." I'm looking at him like he's got 5 heads. And I'm going, "Brother, come again." And he just goes, "We were raised in a small advanced village by an evil species we'd been taught. We're our gods." He says to me, "We were taught our native language, English. They didn't want us in their language. They wanted us controlled. But we were taught that our overseers had saved us from a fallen world known as Gaia. We learned that this place was in ashes, that it was destroyed." He says, but I knew it wasn't true." He starts getting emotional, and he's like, "They told us this place no longer existed, that my parents were dead." And I'm going, "Look, buddy, relax. Why don't you just take a deep breath?" And as outlandish as his story sounded, he's standing here in front of me with a goddamn spaceship, so I don't know what to believe. And I go, "Look, buddy, I don't think it's safe for you to be here. How the hell did you find this place?" He goes, "When I was a boy, turning into a man," he goes, "there was this deranged old man who swore he knew the truths of our society. He swore that we weren't being told the real history, said we were lied to, said we were all being manipulated." He looked at me one day and he said to me, "These people aren't gods. They're intergalactic thieves." He said, "They're a virus." He said, "We were kidnapped as embryos, transported across the galaxy, taken from our biological parents, and raised by this grotesque species. They are horrible." He's going, "Oh God, they're so horrible." And he goes, "One day that old man disappeared. He used to tell us stories of what he'd known. He was the only one from the village who worked on the inside of the Zolaris. And he'd left me with something, and he pulls out a piece of paper and shows it to me. And he goes, he left me with these coordinates. He'd somehow extracted them from their navigational database, said, from all the species preservation shipments. And he said these coordinates would lead me to the motherland, that they would lead me to you." And at this point, I'm in utter shock, disbelief, and I'm trying to just wrap my head around what he's saying. And he looks at me, and he goes, "I found you, Dad. I found you." I'm going, "Look, bud, I think maybe you got the wrong guy. But, you know, in my gut, at this point, I know I'm the right guy, right? Somehow this is my son." Then he says something that kills me. He goes, "What a surprise. 25 years later, you still don't want me." And my mom going, "Look, that's not what I meant." He says to me, he goes, "When I arrived, I thought I was going to find 2 parents who'd missed me terribly, who I'd been stolen from. Do you know what I found when I got here, Father? Do you want to know what they told me at that place you dropped me off at 25 years ago? I'm going to look, I can explain, son. He goes, I came all the way here to find out my parents tried to kill me. I used to think old man was right, that the Zolaris were thieves. But no, they did save me. I go, son. Then he goes, save it. You think I've come here for your sympathy. And then I start feeling a little off. Tone kind of shifted. He looks at me. He goes, no, I don't need sympathy. I don't feel sympathy, Father. I can't feel it. He goes, you know why I can't feel sympathy, Father? And I'm just looking back at him, wide-eyed. And he goes, because they beat it out of us. You know how many nights I was beaten? Said it was to make us tougher. They said stronger skin was better skin. He says to me, they beat us, and they beat us, and they hold us over the fires to singe our skin just enough to get stronger, they said, over and over and over. And, you know, I'm looking at him like, my God, you know. And he goes, what would you do if you were getting beaten and burned, Father? He says, I want to know. What would you do? And I'm looking back at him, speechless, you know. And he goes, would you scream? He goes, you want to know what they did to us for screaming? And he just, I can see thousands of lifetimes worth of pain in his eyes. I just say to him, it's okay now, son. It's okay. And he goes, no, it's not okay, Father. It's far from okay. He goes, I lived hell for 25 years. He says to me, now you're going to stand there and you're going to hear about it. He says, you did this to me. You're the reason I was raised in that place. You didn't want me. He goes, I was a burden to you. And I go, no, listen, that's not true. Your mother, she was young. And he goes, yeah, I was young. He goes, look at me, Father. Look at my face. I want you to think about the life you didn't let me have. What would I look like if you didn't throw me away? And I'm looking at the sheer rage in his eyes. And I'm going, buddy, it doesn't have to be this way. And then he looks me up and down. He goes, look at you, Father. You're pathetic. You don't even know my name. You want to know my name, Father? And I go, what's your name, son? He says, HOKMÉT. And I go, well, that's a beautiful name, HOKMÉT. And he goes, aren't you going to ask me what it means? And I go, what's it mean, son? He puts an 8-inch dagger through my sternum. And as I'm bleeding out, he stands over me. He says, to introduce one to death. And I say to him, how did you know I'd be here? How'd you know I'd be on this trail? And he goes, oh, I got our address. I paid Mom a visit first. I'm not going to kill you. He says, that'd be too nice. I'm going to let you live with that.